Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
We are back at the State Theater. It's Jimmy and Rick this time. Andrew's on his way home from Santa Cruz. Matt is here as well. He'll be checking in periodically, I'm sure, as we get closer. But tonight, we are seeing The Crow. And this is a movie, Rick, which the story is almost as cool as all the lineage and the wise tales and everything we've been looking up all week.
Yeah, it's not only cool, it's just creepy. Creepy how everything worked out.
So, if you've been living under a rock, as you've been listening to, I don't know, you probably know the story if you're listening to this podcast, but if you've been living under a rock, you should know that during The Crow, there's a scene where a band of like thugs and drug dealers come and murder Brandon Lee and sexually assault what was his fiance. And the first thing that happens is Brandon Lee comes in the middle of the assault, and the lead drug dealer has a gun and turns and shoots Brandon Lee in the doorway. In the production shot of this, what they thought was a prop gun with blanks actually fired a shot at Brandon Lee, striking him in the chest and killing him. But there's a lot more creepy things that went on with this production. A crew member was almost electrocuted prior to that. A bunch of stuff happened actually in the sequels of The Crow that were chalked up to this just being a cursed franchise, all the way to the point where they were going to remake The Crow recently with the dude who played Aquaman. And as they were gearing up to do that, something happened. I think someone died, and they called off the production of the film. So The Crow, cursed franchise, ? We'll leave that up to you. But it definitely it was definitely eerie and creepy the way that things went down with Brandon Lee, and the way that things followed really leave some eerie feelings going on. Now, we have a cosplayer here dressed as The Crow. He's very enthusiastic about being dressed up like The Crow.
I thought it was hailing outside, but it's the popcorn. I was like, oh shit, this is The Crow. Non-stop weather storms.
The Crow taking photos of fans as they start to arrive for tonight's event. The other thing to keep in mind, we have a large amount of pre-sale tickets, so we'll be seeing if people actually do show up, because there is a very Crow-esque storm going on outside. It's been pretty shitty all day, actually. Almost as if Brandon Lee, almost as if Brandon Lee was murdered on this day 25 years ago.
No, it's been like in the 80s all week until today.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's been very, very tropical in Modesto. It's been hot, and then all of a sudden today, like a goddamn golf convention, the skies clouded over and the heavens just opened up. Obviously, God is crying on the 25th anniversary of the Crow. Another interesting thing to note with this is you had said that Bruce Lee died in a fashion of where Brandon Lee was like in between two movies shooting this. Bruce Lee died in between two movies as well. That's the whole.
So, Game of Death, he plays an actor. In one of the scenes, he gets shot by one of his enemies.
So
Bruce Lee fakes his death and avenges their murders.
Oh my God.
So in The Crow, Brandon gets shot for real. And his character gets shot and killed and avenges the
his
death.
How far ahead of time did the Game of Death come out before The Crow?
Game of Death, 78-ish.
Okay, and The Crow 25 years ago, 91 or 94. Damn, that's weird. That's an eerie coincidence that it's almost like they foreshadowed the death of Brandon Lee in also coincidentally called The Game of Death. Interesting. And then Bruce Lee goes on to pass away in between production of two movies as well.
Yes.
The Crow, one of the more highly regarded cult classics. I'm looking up Rotten Tomatoes right now to see what they give The Crow with Brandon Lee. They gave it. The critics give it 81, and the audience gives it a 90. So super high score. Immediately dropping off. So The Crow was in 94, like I said. Then we have The Crow Salvation in 2000, 22%.
Those were all garbage. All of them remakes, garbage.
City of Angels.
They even had like a sitcom.
Oh, so City of Angels was the direct sequel. That was in 96. That had a 12% rating. Wicked Prayer in 2005. I mean, this guy doesn't look anything close to the original. So when the audience gives it a 34, but there's no critic rating, that means no critics took the time to watch that movie.
No.
That's
There's also a video game. I think it was on PlayStation 1.
a Crow video game?
Mm-hmm.
You're just the Crow?
You're the Crow. It was horrible too.
Is it based on the movie? Do you like go get
No, it's based on the sequel.
Oh. Well, that's terrible. Yeah. I feel like that's false advertising. Like, play the Crow video game based on the worst Crow movie.
The sequel nobody liked.
Do you think that a lot of that... So, with the sequel, it's obviously not Eric Draydon. Or was it Eric Draydon? Was there another person supposed to be Eric Draydon?
Let me find out.
Or was it another Crow? Like another guy gets killed, and now there's a new Crow. I feel like a bonus question in the trivia tonight needs to be which professional wrestler deliberately ripped off the Crow so much so that he was gone for 6 months, and then when he returned, he was dressed as the Crow.
Little hint, ICP's buddy?
No, not Vampiro. Sting.
Oh, okay.
That is true, though. Vampiro has a very Crow-esque paint job, too. the Crow, or Vampiro rather, accredited the other day on that wrestling channel he's now a commentator for. He actually farted so loud the microphone picked it up.
Oh God, where was this at?
That's fine. You can find it on YouTube. Like he's just calling the match, and all of a sudden you just hear, and he's like, "Oh, that's a good headlock." It's just like, holy shit, bro.
Yeah. So this Crow, the sequel to the Crow, it's Eric.
Oh, he's back.
But he's a mechanic, not a musician.
So it's another Eric? Or is it the same Eric?
I think it's a spin-off. A different adaptation of the comic
the
book.
same story, just done differently. It's actually not a outside the realm of imaginability. Is them trying to just completely reboot the franchise and completely reboot the franchise for further lines. Obviously, though, did not work as the Crow quickly faded off into obscurity. The amount of press that this got, like the prop master, do you think that the prop master should have been convicted, Rick, for his murder?
From reading what I read, a lot of people are at fault. They didn't clean the gun properly. They didn't check it. A lot of shit went down.
Yeah, so they're saying that for the shot, a scene required the gun to be loaded, cocked, and then pointed at the camera. Because of the close range of the shot, the dummy cartridges loaded had real brass caps, bullet but no powder. After the cut, the prop master, not the arms master, he had left the set for the day, dry fired the gun to let the cock off, knocking the projectile bullet into the barrel of the gun. The next scene to be filmed involving that gun was the rape of Shelley. The gun was loaded with blanks, which usually contain double or triple the powder of a normal cartridge to make a loud noise. Lee entered the set carrying a bag of groceries containing an explosive blood pack. The script called for Fun Boy Michael Massey to shoot Eric Draven, Lee, as he entered the room, triggering the blood pack. The bullet that was stuck in the barrel was blasted at Lee through the bag he was carrying, killing him. The footage of his death was subsequently developed and used as evidence in the investigation into his death. As part of the lawsuit settlement, the footage was later destroyed. Lee is the son of mixed martial artist Bruce Lee, who died in mysterious circumstances of his own, completing Game of Death, the movie that Rick was talking about, him faking his own death. It's interesting that Michael Massey, this seems like it just completely ruined his life, being the guy to fire the gun, even though it's in no form or fashion his fault for what is going on. But he obviously feeling guilty. Do you know, Rick, he did not work for over a year, but when he did, do you know what movie he came back for?
No, I don't.
He is in Seven. That was the movie that got him out of not acting. He came back to be in Seven. An interesting choice, not exactly like he came back for a lighthearted movie. That movie is just as heavy, if not heavier, than the content from The Crow.
Yeah, from interviews, he was pretty shooken up. Took a year off. He was pretty torn up, as you would think.
right, so here are the other reasons, the other creepy things that happened to do with The Crow. In 2016, Michael Massey, the actor who played Funboy in The Crow, passed away. In 2014, at the age of 64. Well, that's weird. It says 16, 14. Either way, old or young. 64 years old. Even though he worked in a series of other films throughout his career, he was never able to put the memory of pulling the trigger on Brandon out of his head and allegedly ate him up for the rest of his life. He was quoted in saying, "You don't think you'll ever get used to this or ever get over it." A crew member driving a cherry picker was electrocuted. According to veteran actor John Pilato, even the very first day of shooting The Crow, before the Brandon Lee thing, there was already a horrible accident. While a crew member was driving a cherry picker to set up lights, he fell into a ditch, but it wasn't the worst of it. According to an eyewitness, it was a narrow escape from a brutal death. We lifted up the back of the cherry picker where the guy was lifted up and went right into an electrical pole. Jesus Christ. And he was electrocuted. He was near death. All of his organs were burned. He was about 26. His wife was pregnant. It was the bad luck of the film. Again, it goes back to Massey's being haunted. A lot of Hollywood insiders pointed their fingers at Michael, the actor who played Funboy. While there was no criminal charges filed against him, he still carried the guilt. In 2005, he told The Telegraph it absolutely wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't even supposed to be, or I wasn't even supposed to be handling the gun until we started shooting the scene and the director changed it. He had to take several years off for psychological. Oh shit. A prop truck caught on fire. The film, again, was rife with unexpected events that would run most crews off-site. While speaking with the AV Club, actor John Pilato discussed some of the more bizarre happenings that seemed to go nonstop while shooting. He said the third night, okay, let's just take that into account. The first night, that dude gets electrocuted. So there's a night in between, and now we're on the third night. I remember the prop truck caught on fire, and nobody knew what that was about. If that was a bad omen, or that's not a bad omen, what is? Another stuntman almost died in the production. Getting into stunt work is basically asking to be beat up on a daily basis, but most stunt people try to work smart so they don't get hurt. Unfortunately, on the set of The Crow, the universe was completely against the crew, and one stuntman almost lost his life. Reportedly, while preparing for a scene, the stunt person fell through the rooftop, breaking multiple ribs when he landed. Oh, Jesus.
Everybody's got one of them guys at work, though.
RK.
Oh, Carl. Everybody's got a dumbass.
Okay, we have another electrocution. A carpenter electrocuted nearly to death. Early on the shoot, what is this, like day 5?
Is this a different one that got electrocuted?
Yeah. A carpenter suffered a set of terrible injuries while working on the set's many metal buildings. Allegedly, the crew member was doing some work while on a metal girder. When the metal touched a set of power lines, the following shot caused a serious set of burns on the carpenter's face, hands, and chest. If there was ever a giant sign telling the crew to stop, I mean... when they were in Carolina, it was plagued with hurricanes and freezing temperatures. According to cast members, the elements were completely conspiring against them throughout the production. I mean, I believe it, because when you look at The Crow, you think of storms. Despite shooting in balmy North Carolina, the cast and crew endured freezing temperatures. And if that wasn't bad enough, a hurricane ripped through the state during the filming, destroying some of the Afterwards, a disgruntled sculptor almost destroys the set. There are different versions of the story floating around after the incident, but there's one thing on which they all agree. The set was almost destroyed more than once. One version of the story says that a sculptor working on the film lost control of his car and slammed into a piece of the set. However, the LA Times claims that he was disgruntled and drove his car, purposely destroying the plaster shop. I mean, it just keeps coming, bro. Screwdriver accident, heightened fear on set.
How do you stab yourself with a screwdriver on accident?
It would hurt so bad. One big film set is not out of the question. On any big film set, it's not out of the question for a few accidents to happen when you're working in the art department. Essentially, working in the art department is a lot like working on a construction crew. You're building sets, painting, doing whatever you have to do to give the movie its required look. Allegedly, one member of the art department ended up getting a screwdriver shoved through their hand one day. The particularly brutal accident was just one point to prove the crow was really cursed. They were constantly behind schedule. How's it going? Yeah.
Andrew.
Jimmy.
Nice to meet you.
Chris.
So here the two microphones are already ready to go.
Awesome.
All you have to do is turn it on, and once it's green, it's good to go. Unmuted on the board. I'm going to be at the projection booth, so I won't be down at the soundboard, but I'll be watching you guys. And
Right on.
Once you're done, you just turn them off and
Put them on the sound in the little sound
either
booth.
that or you can bring them back here, and they'll
Okay.
have them for me. And that's pretty much it.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
So Matt said we'll start trivia about 8:55.
Yeah, like 8:50.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you have the poster that we're gonna give away?
Matt, you have the poster that they're going to give away?
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Cool.
So, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
They were constantly behind schedule. According to Bridget Bass's book about the making of The Crow, that's going to be a must read. The shoot was never on time. It was frigid temperatures, awful weather that kept the crew from getting a picture filmed. There was something else that kept the film from coming together in a timely manner, but no one knows what it was. The setbacks from the lagging schedule were so bad that by the time Brandon Lee was killed on set, there was only 8 days to finish the movie. So they filmed. That's why he's in most of it. They didn't even have to really body double him a whole lot.
Yeah, I guess they had to film the beginning, I believe, with the stuntmen and the actors and
Oh, yeah.
CGI his face on those.
So here we go. Even a remake of The Crow is in constant purgatory. It seems that the Curse of the Crow isn't tethered to the original set, but rather it lay dormant waiting to strike again after the sequels to the film gave producers diminishing returns. A reboot of the original film went into early stages of pre-production in 2008. However, those plans hit a standstill for unknown reasons. The remake idea resurfaced a few years later, but it's never been able to get off the ground due to constant cycle of actors, directors, and writers taking over the franchise. By 2016, the remake had gone through its third director in 3 years. It just does not want to be remade. Do you think, Rick, that this is a movie that should just be completely left alone at this point?
They're not going to make it any better.
That is true. I don't think there's anybody who could make it better. We're calling the
Leave it alone. It's done. The Crow's done.
yeah. We're calling.
Don't mess with it.
We're calling the Crow over now. Do you want to tell us what your real name is, man?
My name is Eric Draven. You want my real name?
Eric Draven is here.
Yeah,
But how long have you been doing cosplay, bro?
I've been doing cosplay for Probably 2013 maybe. It was a very kind of recent years, you know.
Yeah.
I've been doing mostly Joker. I'm known as the Clown Prince of Modesto on my Facebook.
Right on.
And I do a good Joker impression. I jump around. I perform. I'm pretty much giving the Disney experience, but with the Joker.
Right on. So how often do you get to do
The Crow.
The Crow?
I am the Crow.
All the time, every day.
All the
is
time.
The
I wake
Crow.
up like this.
Right on.
I think I've been doing this just around the same time. I think 2014, maybe 2015. I've been wanting to do it for a long time because it's one of my favorite movies. Brandon Lee was a great actor. He's phenomenal in the role.
Yes, without question.
Oh, yeah.
He is the Crow. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah, like no one else after him could have captured an essence of what he brought to the role. There was so much emotion, so much like of himself put into it. So I just feel like it was definitely what I wanted to do was try to capture that look, that essence that he brought to the role.
Yeah, well, you absolutely did it, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Your costume is pretty spot on.
Oh, thank you so much. But my real name is Dylan Vargas, by the way.
Dylan.
Sometimes I'm too in character, so I will say. But yeah, just look me up on Facebook, Joker Modesto. Well, Facebook.com/Joker Modesto, and Instagram. And I mean, I do events. I've been doing like events at comic book stores and for birthday parties, and I also go to conventions as well. So
Right
and I
on.
take pictures.
Right on, man.
Free pictures. But the Joker, I don't know. Joker likes to like make his way with pictures, you know. So you can't ever trust him.
Right on. Well, thank you, man, for coming out. I know people are going to be stoked to see you as they start to file in.
Oh, thank you, and thank you guys for coming too. You're pretty awesome.
Thank you. Right now, we'll talk about it on when we get into the actual theater for the trivia portion. But we have coming up June 29th, we have the original Alien. Then what day are we doing? July 13th, we're doing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then July 24th at 7, I'm hoping that we will soon be attached. Not officially as of yet, but they're doing a 7 p.m. showing of Jaws. That would be amazing to host a showing of that. But Alien Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming up. How's it going, man?
So many good things.
So many good things. We're talking about it. We got The Crow tonight. We got Texas Chainsaw. We got Alien. We got Jaws. A whole bunch of cool stuff coming. What's your favorite aspect, man? We're doing a live show. What is your favorite aspect of The Crow?
The layers of the imagery, actually.
Yeah?
Just the straight up layers of the imagery.
Yeah. The lineage that The Crow, being a young teenager when it came out, did the Curse of the Crow, did you get wrapped up in that? It's pretty spooky.
Honestly, I didn't too much, but I remember it.
It's pretty eerie.
It was freaking out.
Have you given any of the sequels the time of day?
No, I haven't.
Don't.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. We'll see you in there. Matt's feverishly trying to find the poster that we're going to give away.
He kind of had a double take. His eyeballs started shaking. He's like, oh shit.
Matt found it. Matt has the poster. Matt, the amount of Can you take a guess, Matt?
That was a nightmare.
At the amount of the amount of things that happened in this, like Brandon Lee's death is obviously the worst, but we just looked up. There was literally
I've heard
10 other things that happened in the production. People getting hurt. Have you seen this
Did you
movie?
ask how many things? Were there at least 10?
There was at least 10. Like,
Nailed it.
have you seen this movie before? Oh, damn,
have not
Matt.
seen this movie.
Are you staying for it?
I cannot.
Oh, Matt.
But I will watch it soon.
Yeah, this is a must watch. Thank you, man. How's everybody doing tonight? We excited for The Crow? Not Crow City of Angels or Crow Vengeance or Crow anything else, mind you, just The Crow. Before we start the trivia, and we got a cool poster to give away for trivia tonight, how about a round of applause for Dylan? He's the cosplayer out in the lobby taking photos as The Crow. If you if you Instagram or Facebook the Joker of Modesto, you should be able to find his page. He does appearances, he does bookings, he's at cons, and he's always willing to say what's up to you guys. So definitely show him some love. There he is right there. Give him another round of applause. Dylan. Our very own Eric Draven in the house tonight. Rick, roll that thing down. Show them what they're going to answer some trivia questions for. We have a very cool, like OG movie poster, The Crow, Brandon Lee. Yeah, the resemblance is striking. So Rick's going to be looking for hands, and we'll say, as we got a couple minutes here for trivia questions,
They come out, or you just raise their hand?
no, we'll just have them raise their hands. That's fine. First and foremost, first trivia question: Michael Miasi stopped working after the tragedy with Brandon Lee for a substantial amount of time before he came back to have a pretty successful career. But there was one film that brought him out of semi-retirement. Does anyone remember what it was? It's directed by David Fincher, if that helps. Another clue, what's in the box? Right here. 7. Correct. There are several flashbacks in this scene, and originally they were going to film the flashbacks as is in color, but they were going to do something else to the rest of the movie to match the comic book. If you're a fan of the comic book, you would know the rest of the movie was originally going to be what? Black and white, correct. There were two very famous actors before Brandon Lee that got offered the role of Eric Draven. Does anybody know who any of them were? Right here. That's actually a very solid guess, but no. River Phoenix was one. There was one that will give him that point. So there's two more guys. I didn't think anyone was going to get River Phoenix, so I didn't include him in my answers, but it's a bonus point. One was a famous pirate on screen. And the other one was actually Christian Slater. Now, who his girlfriend, Eric Draven's girlfriend, was actually offered to another actress. There's something about this actress. Anyone know who I'm talking about? Right here. Cameron Diaz was offered the role. Does anybody know who was going to play the Crow in the newest remake attempt? Jason, yeah, we'll give it to Dylan, Jason Momoa. Here's a good bonus question, because I'm a nerd. We're all nerds. We're from the Horrific Network, by the way. I hope you saw us out in the lobby. Jimmy, Rick, we are the proud hosts of all the late night horror showings here at the beautiful State Theater. Again, how cool is it to see horror movies in a theater like this, you guys? Like, you don't always get to see movies like this on a big screen. Being in my mid-30s, films that we have playing in the late night horror series were before my time, big screen-wise. So the fact that the state brings them back so we can all enjoy them the way that they're meant to be enjoyed is a very cool thing. So we thank you for supporting us, and we thank you for supporting the State Theater in this. The more of you guys who show up, the more cool movies we get to bring in. So please continue to keep coming. So this question is really just between Dylan and what's your name, sir? Jason. Here's a bonus question for you to see who gets the poster. Hopefully you get it. If you don't, it's okay. We'll go to another question. You're just not as big as nerd as I am. Late 90s professional wrestling. WCW copies the Crow storyline for a wrestler to come back to challenge Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I think Dylan's hand up was a little bit faster. Sting. Give that man his poster. He deserves it. He dressed up. Before we get things going, I have announcements as to what we have for you guys this summer thus far. Again, there may always be a possibility that we sneak one in on top of this at the state, but this is for sure what is coming in the next couple months. June 29th, we have the original Alien for you guys. July 13th, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre for you guys. And on July 24th, we are going to co-host with the Just As Good podcast for Jaws for you guys. So there you go. Those are 3 dates. Also, want to mention, on top of that, we do meetups when we're not at the state. Every once in a while, we do meetups at Riverbank, at Galaxy, 9 times out of 10. And that's the theater that we try to make those happen, just because they have like El Roselle across the street. Makes meeting, if you guys want to meet up beforehand, super easy. And our summer meetup there, just because it was too good of an opportunity to pass up, we're going to do a double feature. We're going to do Toy Story 4 for our nerd podcast, and then immediately go watch Child's Play, which comes out the same day. So if you are into either of those, we will be there on the 21st. So 21st in Riverbank again. June 29th back here for Alien. July 13th for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the 24th with the Just As Good podcast for Jaws. Guys, I thank you. Again, we're the Horrific Network, State Theater, Late Night Horror Series, Late Night Horror Group on Facebook. Enjoy the film, guys. Well, Rick, was it as good as you remembered?
Yeah, it was great.
Rick, did you fall asleep?
No.
What's your favorite kill, Rick?
Favorite kill? Probably the ending. When he fell on the gargoyle.
Yeah,
And
that was.
blood was coming out of the gargoyle's mouth.
What do you give this movie?
8 out of 10, definitely.
8 out of 10. John and Ashley came in. They walked in right before we did the trivia. What's your favorite crow kill and/or one line?
I mean, if I don't pick the gargoyle one, it'd probably be T-Birds, where he gets melted and infused with a car.
It's a very weird song to end this movie on, by the way.
I was gonna say the music in this film, like that's one thing that could probably be redone.
Ashley, what is your favorite?
The gargoyle kill for sure. It's just so badass.
My favorite, it's not a kill, but my favorite one line is that gasoline I smell? So that concludes this movie. I am right with Rick, maybe a little bit higher, like 8.75. It still holds up. There are some abundantly clear 1990s effects in this movie, though. Makes me feel old. Like fire doesn't burn that way.
Did you notice any of the CGI of Brandon Lee?
What I noticed is, and I wouldn't have known had we not looked it up when we were at the table as to what they had to substitute him with, is in the scene that they have that he wasn't in, the apartment scene. I did notice that you never see his face in the apartment.
When he's burning the pictures?
No, when they're killing him. When he's having the flashback sequence of them killing the two of them, you never see his face. But that's not something that you would, if you didn't know to look for it, you would never know. But anyway, thank you for listening. Like we said at the during the trivia this summer, Screening Room episodes 21st for Toy Story 4. Then we have the Aliens. Jesus Christ. Aliens, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Jaws, amongst others still to come. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned later this week for Campfire Chronicles and a lot more.
Was the one guy that hit